I'll get.
Run us over the coin pusher,
I know, I was just gonna say, we
easier.
Have a lot of problems.
You can have one there.
Get one on each side. Is
Be cool.
Seems to pop up.
Oh,
People will bring in.
that good?
that's like Beyonce. Yeah.
Yes.
My mic on.
That's a good start.
Yeah. Glad to see you're warmed up tonight. Hey, Chief.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Doing good, my man. How you doing? How are you? Doing good?
Yeah, yeah. You're
Kind of, I'm assuming it's gonna be like Western state, but I mean, we might say, you know, because it's like it's all up by, yeah, that's one thing. So you might be getting bitter.
Yeah, we got this together, man. It's been a while.
Yeah.
I know.
What are you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good.
Good.
Oh, no.
Colorado.com.
Did they talk about anything on that CML? I don't think so. 'Cause I had to go to my doctor's appointment. I'm happy you were on.
Yes, I sent them.
Yeah, I was on
over,
like
so
an hour.
it's back now.
I gotta go.
We've got,
Okay, sorry.
You got lots going on.
We need to find somebody else. Sorry.
You're like, I'm good. You're so funny.
I said. Thank you. All right, I think we're ready to get rolling. Can we start out with an introduction from our interpreter, Giselle?
Hello, everyone. Thank you for practicing language justice in this meeting. Today, we're going to be practicing and we're going to be doing simultaneous interpretation. That means that everybody is going to participate and engage in the language of their heart, the language that they feel most comfortable in. That is the language that we practice at home. So when they turn on interpretation, please select your language on the icon of a globe icon on the bottom of your bar that says interpretation. If you're not fully bilingual, please select English or Spanish. If you're going to be presenting or facilitating, please be aware of your speed, knowing that Spanish takes 20 to 25% longer than English. Hola a todas las personas, gracias por practicar la justicia del lenguaje. En esta reunión vamos a estar usando la interpretación simultánea para que todos participemos en el idioma de nuestro corazón, en el idioma que nos sentimos más cómodos, que es el que practicamos en casa. Así que una vez que aprendan interpretación, usted va a ver un icono de un globo en la barra de abajo de su pantalla que dice interpretación. Si no es completamente bilingüe, por favor seleccione su idioma preferido. Si hablas o presentas, por favor sé consciente de tu velocidad. Muchas gracias. Thank you very much. You can go ahead and turn on interpretation.
Thank you. Welcome, everybody. I'll call to order our work session for February 24th, 2025. The time is 6:04 p.m. And we have all members present with Councilmember Camacho online with us. All right, tonight we're going to talk about 5 different ordinances that we're going to have on our regular meeting agenda. So I'm going to turn it right over to Devin.
Thank you, Mayor. And so we're just going to take some time, and I think we have plenty of time to go through this. I'm going to talk a little bit about each one of these. On some of them, I might ask if the city attorney has some additional comment on that. Andrew on one of them has some comments on that. But we've got, since we got quite a few of them here, we wanted to give ourselves plenty of time. I think we'll probably get done early. I can do my manager's report. We can do some other business and stuff like that. But we're in no hurry. So I'm just going to kind of walk us through some of these. And going in order, ordinance number 2, which has to do with alcoholic beverage tastings. And let me get that out here. So, a number of the things that we're talking about tonight in these ordinances are being driven at the state level. So there has been legislation that was passed at the state level, most of it in the last session or so, that has some due dates coming up where we need to make some changes. So a lot of that and what you're seeing tonight is being driven by action at the state legislature in the last session. And this is one of them. So last session, the legislature amended one of the sections in state code that talks about test or tastings for beverage tastings, and basically just doing two things: changing or mandating what times they can be held and the amounts that can be served or consumed. Thank you, Mary Lynn. So if you go down, you can see that this amends our code to say that the tastings, you basically can start no earlier than 10 a.m. and go no later than 9 p.m. So that's the time frame. And then on the amounts, it has to be limited to no more than 4 ounces of malt liquor, 4 ounces of vinous liquor, 2 ounces of spirituous liquor per customer per day. I did the math for you. It's 10 ounces, still less than a beer, I think. So, so not a lot, right? That's really the gist of this. I didn't know if Mary Lynn, if you had anything else, or Jenna with the licensing, alcohol licensing, anything like that you wanted to add, but pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
And I don't think we have
Warehouse liquor.
Warehouse Liquor does tastings, and that's the only ones that I'm aware of that I can think of.
Mhm.
Yes, I think that's correct, the one. And then the biggest thing is that it's going from noon to 10 a.m. So there's a 2-hour shift. So currently right now it's from 12 to 9 and it's going from
Okay.
10 to 9.
I guess in case you want to
Start
taste
early.
mimosas or something, I guess, I really don't know what drove the change. Do you?
I think it was probably the off-premise retailers lobby, as most changes to the local to the liquor licensing code are driven by the industry, and so there must have been a desire from off-premises retailers to shift the hours earlier if they opened before noon. State law and our code will now say that they still can't start tastings before they're open, so they'd have to shift their hours to open earlier as well. But it must have just been an industry request of the legislature to allow retailers who are open a little earlier to do tastings earlier.
Jay.
In section 2, the second sentence, I'm trying to figure out why it's necessary, but I got caught up on this one and on ordinance 3, where it says the city council hereby declares that it would have passed this ordinance in each part or parts thereof, irrespective of the fact that any one or part be declared unconstitutional or invalid. Is that absolutely necessary? It just seems like I wouldn't do anything if it's not constitutional. I wouldn't agree with something that I didn't think was constitutional or valid.
Right. So those statements are in here because of case law. So when an ordinance is challenged, if somebody challenges your ordinance on its face, the court is going, on the basis that it may be unconstitutional or otherwise contrary to state law, the courts will look at every sentence and section of that ordinance to determine if any part or thereof or the whole ordinance might be unconstitutional or preempted by state law. And so as courts have done that, they have also wanted to know in their analysis whether the city council would still have passed the ordinance if one part was severed from the ordinance by law. So that's to put that in there preemptively instead of having to have the council be witnesses, for example, in a trial challenging the validity of the ordinance to say whether the council would have passed it. So it's just to get in front of the court's analysis if there ever were a challenge. We put that in all of our ordinances. for the city of Sheridan, and it's common in all municipalities if their attorneys have been paying attention to the case law. So it's just when anytime an ordinance is challenged, I just want to add that we have to submit a copy of the past ordinance to the court too. So this has it right there in writing as the court is looking at whether anything needs to be severed.
And this also, so let's say whatever the ordinance is
Mhm.
gets challenged. And it has, as Mary Lana said, has numerous provisions, but they really kind of focus on one. And the court rules, it says, okay, yeah, we agree with you. This one section or whatever it is unconstitutional, is invalid, whatever it is. That doesn't mean everything else in the whole ordinance
Right.
goes away. It still means that the rest of it can be held valid.
Mhm.
And then they would ask if you want, you're right, there's still some consideration, but then it automatically, the whole thing just, the baby doesn't get thrown out with the bathwater is basically what that means.
And one more comment, that's not speaking to any individual counselor's opinion or intent. If you pass something, you act by majority. So once the majority votes to approve something, it is an act of the entire council, and it's no longer relevant at that point what your individual opinion is. Not that your individual opinion wasn't important in considering the ordinance, but it's just a statement that we as a council have acted to put this ordinance in place. And even if the court takes, one sentence, one section, one word out, we would have still passed the ordinance because your majority vote already evidenced that. So yeah, and this has happened. Can I give an example
Yeah.
recently where this came up? So, and this was in state law, but it led to a change in all of in local government laws. I think it was 2 years ago, the Colorado Supreme Court looked at the state law definition of a harassment, and they struck 2 words. And it changed the meaning and the application of that law, which we then, for all of our clients, and I think most local governments did this, we then amended our clients' harassment codes and their criminal codes of their ordinances to strike those same 2 words so that our ordinance wouldn't be later found invalid, because then somebody could challenge it based on what the Colorado Supreme Court had done. But that's a recent example where a court has gone through a whole law and just taken 2 words out. And it didn't strike down the whole law. It just made sure that it was constitutional by taking those 2 words out, and the rest of the law still stands. So it's something that can happen, and this is, again, just getting ahead of any potential challenge, not that we expect one. But yeah, it's a legal recommendation by our office that be in there.
Yeah, and great question, Jay. And it really is, it's standard type of language in most everybody. Like Marilyn says, if you're up to speed and doing it the right way, this is in your ordinances. Yeah.
I appreciate that you read that section too.
Yeah. I gotta say, I get to that and I'm like, because it's like boilerplate. But yeah, it's a great question.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions on this one in particular? Like I said, it has minimal impact on us. Really, Warehouse Liquors is the only one I know that does it right now. And we've never had any complaints or problems that I'm aware of from them that stem from their tastings. I've been over there myself when they're doing their tastings. They do a good job of it. It's controlled. It's not, it's not a party. It's not crazy. It's people over there, in the industry with a brand. They're trying to push it, and they're professional about it all. So, yeah, that's it on that one. Okay.
Looks like we're good.
Sounds good. Next one would be ordinance number 3, having to do with the definition of household. So this is another one. This one is definitely being driven by the state with some legislation. Remember last year, the legislature put forth a number of new measures and new laws regarding housing. And this was one that has actually the time frame on it was fairly short. It's already in effect. This is us kind of making sure that we comply. So it's more of a housekeeping issue. Right now, our code is currently not in compliance with state law, but as long as we don't use it to enforce anything based on our old definition of household, we're fine. But we need to clean it up. We need to make sure that we're in compliance with what state law has to say on there. So Andrew, do you want to talk just a minute or two on this one, where you were kind of what you and I talked about earlier? It'd be great.
Great. Good evening, Mayor and Council. So yeah, as Devin was saying, this change is being driven by the state legislature. They passed their bill last year and it went into effect July 1st of 2024. So pretty much immediately it was in effect, and most cities were out of compliance with this because most cities do have a definition of household or family in their zoning code. So we kind of waited to see, typically with some of these state definitions, the appropriate agency will come up with a better definition that actually meets what is in that bill. So that's kind of why we've been waiting on this one. We wanted to see what they came out with. So DOLA came out with 2 kind of example definitions that we could use, printed off a copy of that. They're basically saying the same thing. We went with example 2, which was a little bit more close to what we'd previously been using. And yes, it does take out that kind of arbitrary limit on the number of unrelated people that can live together. So, because that is prohibited by the state bill. So, yeah, so that's kind of where we're at. Previously, we had limited it to 5 unrelated individuals. That was pretty common throughout Metro Denver, fairly permissive. I know Denver only made their change to allow up to 5 individuals back in 2021. So there's been a lot of conversation about this lately. Previously, it was just 2 unrelated individuals. So as Devin was saying, we don't really enforce this. We've never really enforced this definition. It's very difficult to, it's pretty invasive to figure out how many people are living in a given space, but we do still have some power to enforce building or safety code requirements, which previously, if a question had come up about, are there too many people living in the space, that's really what we would have went to anyways, because this arbitrary definition in the zoning code is not as, it's harder to enforce than a building code definition. So all of those other definitions stay the same.
I assume it's not really easy to kind of boil down what that building code says as far as what's allowable, right?
It's not.
Okay.
I'm definitely not an expert in the building code, but there are some requirements in there. A lot of it is based on when you're reviewing plans and issuing permits for new buildings that you have a minimum amount of space in what you're approving for people to live, which I think rooms, it's like, typically 70 square feet is as low as you can go under the building code. You got to have minimum room sizes.
Per person or?
Yeah. So, and then it kind of goes back to like amount of space per person and things like that. And like I said, that's much easier to enforce on if we, had to enforce. But yes, otherwise it's pretty simple. I think the state bill itself was only 3 pages, so this was probably the most simple one that they actually passed. And yeah, we're here to hopefully bring our code up to speed tonight.
And there was nothing in what they passed that keeps us from enforcing the building code or safety code.
Correct. So yeah, we're still allowed to do that. And that was actually, so we, like I said, we went with example 2, and then there was some optional text that the state put out. We added in the optional text because that's where it talks about those other codes. So we did include all of that. And it's also important as it relates to like affordable housing guidelines. So there are standards like bonsai apartments is subject to different standards. So it helps us because we don't want to have something on the books that conflicts with a federal law, because that development is within the city of Sheridan, but has to comply with federal laws around the LIHTC program.
Yeah, I remember Lindsay talking about like how many heartbeats per
2 heartbeats
room
per
or whatever.
room
Yeah.
kind of thing. Yeah.
Okay. Other questions for Andrew before he goes sits down and then we have to tell him to come back up? No. Okay.
Great.
Thanks, Andrew. Anything else for Devin? Before we move on?
Nope, that's it on that
Okay.
one. Pretty straightforward. Ordinance number 4 concerning the prohibition of gambling devices. So this is another one. I'm sorry, this one isn't being driven by the state. This is more of a housekeeping measure for our own code that we don't have I correctly identified in our code some of the definitions with regards to gambling, things along those lines. We see these kind of things showing up here and there randomly in different kind of or establishments or this, that, and our code just hasn't been terribly clear on how we can address those things. So it's a bit of a cleanup, a clarification. So it adds in some, and we'll say that we have seen, I don't know that we have any place currently that's got these devices. I'm not sure.
There
But
might
we've
be
had them in
one.
the past. Yeah. Yeah. We've had them in the past. So anyway, and this besides kind of having the adding some definitions as to what is considered for gambling devices, professional gambling, and that type of a thing like that. It also sets forth that we can prosecute these in our municipal court and not have to go to county court with those. So it goes through and it's pretty straightforward. Adds, like I said, some definitions of what gambling devices are considered. And then says basically how they are prohibited and what to do with the seizure of any devices that we do, and allows us, like I said, to charge this into our own municipal court. So not addressing any pressing issue, current issue right now that I'm aware of, but we have had this in the past, and I know other cities that struggle with this, that these devices that kind of are in the gray area between being a video game or a gambling game. You know, it's kind of can be a little bit difficult to make the designation unless you specifically have some language in your code, and that's what this tries to do. Is that
And what about this backlog with the counties? Is that just misdemeanors in general? They don't have time to handle?
I believe so, you know, just because there's just case volume in that, and being able to have more control and what am I trying to say? More expediency in our own municipal court than waiting for something to, or clarification from a district court on this. Yeah. And it's nothing that, you know, it's not a violent crime. It's not something like that. We are staffed and we can handle these kind of a complaint in the court easy enough.
And the state doesn't care who's enforcing it between us and the county?
No, I don't believe so. I think they'd probably be happy if we weren't writing them into district court. Yeah. And like I said, I mean, it's not gonna happen much. This is, again, it's housekeeping. It's to catch those one-off, those odd types of occurrences when they did, and that we have the proper tools to be able to do something about it.
If I can, Devin, I
Yeah,
would just
please.
like to expand on a couple things. These laws already exist under Colorado state laws we see here, but it's just easier if we have a local issue that we're able to address it and not have to call the state and try to get them to come address this. We had this in a couple of years ago. We had a location that was using a quarter device that was, and there was an argument, some problems, and we realized that that was kind of causing us issues, and we asked them to remove it. I haven't checked it in some time, but I know they didn't remove it immediately, but it kind of is out of our control. When it has to be by the state, we can refer it, but the state, again, they're busy with the felonies, the big things, and the gambling up in Central City, those type of things. So these kind of get pushed to the side or even overlooked. So this just gives us some control to address that, to keep our city safe when those things occur. We're not going to go out and look for this all over. It's just that if it happens and we know that it is already a law, but we can't enforce it, this just gives us the ability to do that. And I'd like to just point out one thing, because one of the things that we see on here is in the definition, it talks about the crane game. And we think, well, we see those all over. And it gets a little confusing as you read this, at least it did for me. But you need to look at it, section 5037A, and then they're talking about definitions, and they talk about crane game. And then it goes down all the way, you have to go to B, where they're telling you what possession of gambling devices are prohibited. That's also why they give a definition of a gambling device. And they say specifically in there that does not include a crane game. And when they talk about the crane game, it's an amusement machine. And the prizes are supposed to be less than $25 in there. But again, this isn't like we're begging for something new to enforce. This is just if there's something out there causing us a problem, doesn't raise to a high enough level that the state wants to act on it, gives us that ability to do so and help to keep the city cleaner, safer. Make sure that if there's a location that's having a problem because people are arguing or fighting or something happens over this, we can address it here. So that's simply what it is. It's not recreating anything other than giving us the ability to enforce the minor things that occur within the city.
Out of curiosity, how does this interact with liquor licensing? And if they had a misdemeanor, would that affect their liquor license? I'm assuming these mostly would turn up in bars. I'm just guessing, but
One I know of was actually in a convenience store.
Oh, really?
So it wasn't a
Okay.
bar, but yeah, they could happen. But I believe it could help, could hinder their liquor license if those problems exist, have to be looked on a case by case. But yeah, that would be something that they were doing that would be violating the law. So absolutely could be a problem.
Yeah, I know
course
the
you know
machine.
where
I
it
know the
is.
machine you're talking about now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think it's still there. I don't know yet. I don't know. I know what you're talking about though.
Yeah.
I had a question. Are our definitions for gambling device consistent with what the state would be willing to prosecute on?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I think this gambling thing might change again. I know that the state is thinking about changing the way how gambling is going to be to having them on devices and whatnot because they're trying to make up the revenue for that 600 million that we're, negative about. So I know that they did bring that up,
Some kind of license or what?
just changing it to where we might be able to do it from our devices. I think
Oh.
from our mobile devices, gambling on our mobile devices. I know that that was one thing that they talked about, but I wouldn't be surprised if they come up with something else.
Hmm.
But yeah, they're trying to come up with more
Close
funds.
that budget gap. Huh?
Yeah, they're trying. They're trying to figure it out.
So if they have to pay something under this, it goes to the state. We don't get anything.
I'm not sure where those funds go.
That wouldn't be very fair, but
Yeah.
other questions, concerns about this one?
No, seems
Okay.
okay.
Next one's going to take a little bit longer to go through. So with regards to, make sure I'm following the right order here. Ordinance number 5, with regard to the regulation of massage facilities. And we have had these facilities here, and it could be challenging. I think the state legislature kind of worked for a few years to try and get a handle on how this, and a lot of it was left to the local municipalities to kind of on their own, figuring out their own set of guidelines and enforcement. And the state finally kind of stepped in to help provide some guidance on that. And also allow municipalities to do a little bit more. So basically what this allows municipalities to do is to set up a licensing system for any massage facilities that you have in your city. And this was generated again, like I said, through changes at the state law. And now, so what it does is it requires all municipalities to establish and conduct background checks and licensing efforts for any and all of your certified legitimate massage facilities. And I'll walk through that a little bit, just so we have an idea kind of what would be involved. I'm not sure if we currently have, we have one massage facility, Massage Envy, which is again a chain, retail chain thing that we haven't traditionally had issues along with that type of them. It's been the small, it's been the mom and pop. If anybody remembers Happy Massage, that was right here.
Hey,
on.
calm down there, buddy.
That's just the name.
Yeah, that was the name. We had issues with that one,
you imagine?
as well as other ones like
Name
that
like
in the
that.
past.
Yeah, with the name like that, you know.
Yeah. So, and it was difficult because you had to work with the state on doing things with that, and you didn't have a lot of tools at the local level. But this would allow us then to put in place, or actually requires us to put in place a licensing authority for this. And basically, so I'll walk us through here. The beginning is a little bit just kind of introductory, talking about the legislative effort behind this. We set up a bunch of definitions. Most of the definitions are pretty straightforward in there. I'll just point out that the one definition in there on the second page, licensing authority. So it says licensing authority means the city clerk. So it would be in our city clerk's office, who's authorized to administer and enforce massage facility requirements, regulations, and prohibitions as set forth in this article, except that any suspension, revocation, or denial of renewal of a license shall be the responsibility of the city manager. And that's a fairly common setup, where you have the clerk's office will administer the license, and then any type of enforcement actions that need to take place would be referred to the city manager's office. And it generally, and I think in here it does, it generally requires a hearing before the city manager, kind of like a show cause type of a hearing. So that would be how we would set that up. Through the clerk's office would manage the licensing. If you go to the next page, under on page 3, still talking about some of the definitions. I have a lot of definitions in this one. But the massage therapist, so when we talk about massage therapists, they're talking about the people that have a state license, right? They are licensed by the state to do this as a profession. And that's one of the, and I'll get to this here in a minute, that's one of the provisions, very much like a liquor license. You have to have a state license and a local license, and that's what this is doing too. You have to have a state license and a local license, okay? Let's see, that's most of the issues on definitions, I believe. If you go to section or page 4, we talk about the top. So, or at section 22-112, massage facility license required. No person or entity shall be permitted to operate a massage facility in the city without a valid massage facility license issued by the city. Every license must be renewed annually and is not transferable to any location or person. The license must be displayed at all times in a conspicuous place with the licensed premises. Again, very similar to a liquor license. Next section, massage facility manager permit required. So they have to have a licensed manager on site all times that they're open. Okay. And that person has to be licensed as well. That would be also have to have a permit issued through the city and renewed on an annual basis. Okay, I'm not going to go through all of this, but there would be an application fee, and the application fee basically has to be a reasonable fee. This can't be something where you say, oh, our fee is going to be $10,000 to try and keep these places out of the city. You can't do that. You have to be, it has to be based on a reasonable fee that has a reasonable nexus to the cost of administering the program. So the cost for doing fingerprinting, the cost for the city clerk's time, the cost for the city manager's time, those kind of things like that. So it's going to be, you know, we don't have a recommendation yet on this. We'll bring forth a recommendation on the fee and what that would be. I would imagine it'll be similar to like a liquor license type of a fee, because that's the level of administration that we're talking here pretty much. Let's see, some of the, so application, there has to be an application, there will be a fee, and some of the particulars of the application, just so we know, okay, what's going to be permitted and what not. What are we looking for? What are we trying to review here through this licensing type of procedure? We want to make sure that anybody in there has not been convicted of a felony, a misdemeanor, of any state that has to do with solicitation of prostitution, that has to do with human trafficking, that has to do with fraud, theft, embezzlement, or money laundering, right? So we're looking at those kind of particular areas like that. or similar types of crimes. And that's under section 22, 114, section 3, if you want the particular language. The next section 4 on that, we would consider whether they've had a previous license, either under their current business name or another business name, and has that been denied, suspended, or revoked at any time. Again, similar things that we look like with other operations as well. Number 5, and the next one on that on page 5, whether the applicant currently or previously operated or operates or operated a massage facility or business meeting the same kind of definition. This is I'm glad this is in here. You know, this we had problems with, and municipalities have had problems with this, where you get an operator operates in one city, gets shut down, boop, pops up in the next city, boop, pops up in the next city. Is whack-a-mole. I mean, they just keep on popping up, right? There was nothing that was in the codes at that time to say, well, you know, it just became we got rid of it here and it became Inglewood's problem as soon as it popped up in Inglewood, or you know, that kind of thing. So what this section says is that you can consider that, right? So we can consider that when reviewing their license application. Did they have an operation in Inglewood that got shut down for valid reasons? And we can consider that when making our licensing decision. And then talk about the ownership, making sure we know who the ownership is on this one here. Let's see, we talked about the bottom of that page 5, application fees. I talked about that, reasonably reflect the actual cost. Next page we have on page 6, top of the page with this ordinance does require that all licensees go through a background investigation conducted by the city. So we would fingerprint owners, managers, employees, and all of them get a background check. So that's part of the reason why the fee might be a little higher than just say like a business license fee or something on that, because there are costs associated with us doing that level of administration on that. So that background will be done for all applicants. And then we talk about when you're issuing a license, when can you what are the considerations for approval or denial? And that's what the next session kind of talks about in section 22, 115. So some of the things that we're looking for: age, and we talked about, have they already had a license or operated? Do they have a state license? Do they not? Were they a registered sex offender? There's all kinds of things along here. But what we talked about, have they ever pleaded or been convicted of a felony on those the types of felonies that we talked about earlier in there? We can consider in section 9 at the bottom of this is kind of the catch-all that says you can consider the character, record, or reputation of the applicant, right? So these are the kind of things where I mean, they've got an operation in Littleton, and we call Littleton, and these guys are like, oh, they're terrible. You know, we get nothing but problems with them, and we've had issues, and they're continually having problems with whatever. Those says you can consider those kind of things, even though they might not be convicted of something like that. So you can look at character, you can look at those types of things. And that's again similar to liquor licensing too. You can consider the character of the applicant, right? So we have some flexibility that gives the city some consideration there. The time frame for review. So once they have a complete, absolutely full and complete application, we have 30 days to make a decision on the license. We talked about what kind of things we look for approval or denial. Any denial, there is a section on here on page 7D, no, E, sorry, it says appeals. So somebody that is denied a license or has a suspended or revoked can appeal to the city manager. Or, well, this one in particular is if the application itself. So if the clerk deems that, all right, she's not going to issue this based on whatever it was, one of the provisions in here, and they can appeal that to the city manager if they want to. Again, and that would be through the process of a hearing. And when we've done those hearings before, and I've done those hearings before, and we set it up, it's a very formal procedure. So we have usually the city attorney there, the clerk there, I'm there. It's very formal. We go through a formalized process with a script, the whole thing. We swear in the applicant. I mean, it's just like you're sitting there giving testimony, right? So it's a very formal type of procedure that we use on those. Let's see what else is some of the takeaways on this. Next page, page 8. Some of the licensee requirements that we look at. So giving an idea what kind of information we're looking for. They need to maintain a list of all their employees on site. They need to ensure that everybody there that needs a government issued license has a government issued license, or I should say identification. So government issued identification, that they're, if they're doing massage, that they are licensed massage therapists with the state, have all of those certifications, licensing available for inspection. Let's see what else in there. Maintaining records, that's pretty standard, in that we have, the city has the right to inspect their records at any time. The next section, 22-118, it really kind of is just mostly a kind of a repeat of the earlier section, just saying, all right, if you got any of this going on, you're going to be in violation of your license. Most of it has to do with you're not maintaining your state level of license, or you're going into areas that have to do with prostitution, that have to do with human trafficking, that have to do with those kind of things. One thing that I do like on here that is included is item D under section 22-118, subsection D, to encourage. So this is unlawful. It's unlawful to encourage or permit a licensed massage facility to be used for housing, sheltering, or harboring any persons, or as living or sleeping quarters for any persons, unless it's a home-based business, right? We had issues with this with, like, for example, with Happy Massage. There were people staying there. And it was, first off, it was not set up as a residential type of facility. It didn't have the facilities it needed to. And that's just, that's not obviously a good business practice. So, and those are some of the things you run into when you run into issues with around human trafficking and things like that, is they're making people live and work at these facilities on a 24/7, right? They had cameras at the Happy that the owners would make sure would not for what you might think the cameras on, but just to make sure actually they were working, that they were there 24/7 and working. Anyway, I'm good. I'm glad that that is specifically called it out in there, because that was absolutely a problem that we've run into before. Let me see, what else is there that I want you guys to be aware of? On page 10, we talk about suspension, revocation, or non-renewal. Again, talking about the city manager may suspend, revoke, or not renew a license or permit issued under this article if the city manager finds that. All of these kind of things, it's everything that we already talked about, that could violate the provisions of their license. In the last provision on there, number 6, which is actually at the top of page 11, the licensee or manager, this is grounds for revocation again. The licensee or manager has had a license or permit revoked for cause anytime within the prior 24 months for the same or a substantially similar business in another jurisdiction. So then again, that goes to trying to do away with the whack-a-mole approach of everybody, they open under one license and name in this jurisdiction, another license, different name in that one, and right, and it's whack-a-mole. This allows us to check on them, and in the past 2 years, if they've had any issues, we can revoke or not renew or not issue. So, and that, I believe, is the last of the major issues of that one. I'll ask Mary Lynn, the chief, anybody else that has anything to add in on that one. That's a lot. That's a lot. And this is a whole brand new section in our code.
So I do have a couple of comments for council's benefit. So this is consistent with these new state laws regarding massage facility businesses. And as Devin said early on, the state now requires local governments to license these facilities and to conduct background checks on 3 different types of individuals who are associated with these facilities. And that's what's new, and I'll cover that in a moment. But as the recitals at the top of the ordinance say, these laws are really geared towards ensuring the success and protecting the reputation of legitimate massage businesses, while prohibiting and hopefully preventing the operation of any illicit or criminal enterprises that are using a massage facility as a front for what they're doing. So surprisingly, that has not been, there hasn't been a clear scheme for that in state law to encourage the operation of legitimate businesses. What has been present is prior to this law, the state had a clear licensing program for massage therapists. So if you wanted to become a massage therapist, you would go through the required training and education and certifications to then apply to the state for a massage therapist license, which is great because those are it's a legitimate profession with credentials. And so the state has been providing that for a long time. But what was missing is the other individuals who may be involved in these businesses. And that's what the new state law, as well as this ordinance, takes care of. And so under the state law and under this ordinance, those background checks that Devin referred to and all these licensing requirements that we'll now have apply to owners. So anyone who owns a massage facility or massage business, anyone operating one, whether they're whether they're an owner or not, if they're there and they're managing or they're operating the business. For example, a franchisee of a Massage Envy is a good example. They may not own Massage Envy, but they're operating a franchise. They'll have to be background checked as part of the licensing process. And then finally, any employees who are involved in contact with customers will have to be background checked in order for a business to receive a license. So there's just one license that the city will be issuing. That's the massage, but I want to use the right term, massage facility license, right, for a massage business. So massage facility license. But in order to get that license in the first place from the city, all of those individuals will have to be background checked. So this takes this beyond just that massage therapist being a licensed professional. We're now going to look at the other individuals associated with owning, operating, and running that business and having contact with customers. So that's a really nice improvement in state law that the city is mandated to carry out, but at least it's not an unfunded mandate in the sense that the city, as Devin said, can recoup its costs for administering these licenses through the fees it collects for applications and renewals. Let me see if I have any other comments. I think Devin covered everything else, but yeah, I just wanted to provide that background and what's changed and why there's so much here. We've gone from licensing one individual to looking at the business, and that will, as Devin and I'm sure the chief can speak to, ensures that these businesses are legitimate and operating legally in the city, and also that we're aware of them. So if one were to pop up and it hadn't gone through the licensing process with the city would have authority to shut that business down. So that's also a new enforcement action that we'd be able to carry out with this ordinance.
I have a question. I didn't see on their hours of operation. I don't know if is that supposed to be part of it? Is there a certain amount of time that these businesses should be open? Is my question, because I know I've driven by some and they're like open till like 10, 11 o'clock at night. And I was just asking.
I don't know, but I'm assuming we can do time, place, and manner as part of our licensing effort.
We can. I'm going to check the state law real quick. I've got the bill up just to see if.
Good question, though.
Yeah, it's a great
Yeah.
question.
Yeah.
And I know we just recently talked about that with natural medicine
Right.
businesses, right? It's
right.
so that's a good question to ask. Let me
Yeah.
see.
Not in this one. Oh, there's no time in the state.
I don't see it.
Massage envy.
Check the law. Why don't I look into that? If there's any other questions, I'll try to have an answer before we move on from this item, or at least before the end of the work session.
Parallel, perpendicular to Point Parkway.
But I would agree, Devin, that we would at least have the ability to establish hours. However, if we do so, we have to have a rational basis and
Mhm.
justification for doing so. And again, keeping in mind that this is regulating legitimate businesses, and
Right.
so that's something to consider if you do want to consider hours.
Yeah, and if we did, and remember, so we'll do first reading tonight and we'll still have second reading, so we've got some time to address that issue.
Okay.
Other questions? Concerns?
So this pretty much follows what the state has already has. So will this be just like a liquor license where it's approved at a local level and then pretty much rubber stamped at the state level? Or will they have to do their own process at the state level?
My understanding is they have to do their own process at the state level. So it's a dual licensing process similar to a liquor licensing. So, neither the state nor locals on liquor license do we rubber stamp the other one. You know, everybody goes through, both the state and the locals go through their
Gotcha.
process. As you guys know, sitting as the local liquor authority or local licensing authority for liquor, you know, you guys have the hearings, you do that kind of stuff and all that. And they do that at like more of an administrative level, I believe, with the state, but they still have to go through the similar types of requirements.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so my anticipation, and I think what the requirements and the criteria of this license mirror what the state's does.
Yep. I was just wondering if there was any way that we can piggyback with the state and reduce some of those costs that will be associated with it by using one agency for fingerprinting or background checks.
I don't know, have they ever done that before, Jenna, that you're aware of?
They have two that we send liquor licenses through with the state. And then with reading this, it says with the police departments, I don't know if our fingerprints are actually gonna go through the police department, it's something that the chief and I would probably need to talk about. But like with liquor and marijuana, there's two agencies that they refer to, and they can send information to both of us.
Okay.
Yep, so they just submit like our number and the state's number, and it sends out the information to both agencies. And then to answer your question about the state on massage therapists, they have a full application checklist that is super extensive on what they're looking for criteria.
Okay.
So your to-do still is to kind of estimate what those costs are to the city so that we can make sure we're covered, especially your time and.
Yeah, I think we'll
their
probably
direct
go
costs.
through a whole like deep dive of what is the state charging for this, and what are the regulated fees, because there's some that they, like for liquor license, for example, to do a manager's or change a manager, it's a $30 fee, and that's what is written out in the state statute, that we can only charge $30. So going back and looking at those fees to make sure there isn't any that are mandated by the state, and then just making sure that we have the state fees in there, and then similar kind of chart, I would say, for marijuana and license or liquor licensing.
I would think it'd just be, because so much of this is just very similar to a liquor license process. Although it's more administrative, there isn't really the authority, the local licensing authority type of process where it goes in front of council, sitting as an authority. It's more of an administrative license. So, but still, most of the cost is going to be very similar to that. Yeah. I'd say probably liquor license overall. If you're getting a liquor license, it's going to be more expensive for you personally than getting this license. You know, a lot of liquor license, but they got to go through and they have to do the determine the needs and
Surveying,
requirements
yeah.
of the locale of the local government or the area that they're going into. So they have to do surveying. You have to hire attorneys. You're hiring, you know, all this kind of stuff. Whereas this is going to be more of filling out a form and getting your backgrounds done and that kind of stuff. And then meeting the, yeah. But still, yeah, a lot of similar processes. So I think we'll be able to come with a very reasonable type of estimate of cost for that.
Great.
And I wouldn't be surprised if in the future the state comes back with some direction at some point on that. Because I wouldn't be surprised if some municipalities come up with some fairly outrageous fees to go along with that. So they might.
Well, I do want to make sure we cover all our costs, because I mean, I totally agree with
Yeah.
everything in here, but it is a mandate from the state. So I mean, I'd
Yeah.
hate to see us out of pocket on it. You know?
Yeah. Any other questions? Okay, the last one that we have, really pretty straightforward. This is much more of a housekeeping, specific nuisances. So we have a section 4632 in the code, which is kind of a laundry list of specific types of nuisances, kind of a catch-all, if you will, that identifies nuisances and how we can address them. This particular ordinance addresses two. The first part is, it says it shall be unlawful and deemed a nuisance for any person absent written permission from the Public Works Director to construct or maintain any structure upon any city-owned park, open space, vacant or undeveloped property. That just gives us very clear direction that if somebody wants to do something on those types of public properties, they got to work with the Public Works Director, and it's usually some kind of a temporary thing or another, and they can allow that to happen generally on a temporary basis with the permission of the Public Works Director. The other one that this does, it has to do with alcohol, and so it says it would be unlawful and constitutes a constitute a nuisance for any person absent a special events permit from the city clerk to possess, consume, or distribute any alcoholic beer, wine, or fermented malt beverages upon any city-owned park, open space, vacant, or undeveloped property. Again, addressing the alcohol question on public property. These are just some housekeeping measures. We don't have that necessarily in our code as it is, and this helps provide that clarity on how do we address these kind of questions, and then what are the requirements if somebody wants to have alcohol or somebody wants to do something like a temporary type of structure or something else like that in a park. How do we say yay or nay to that is what this does. Jay, you had a question?
Yeah, under section 2:16.5, why doesn't it also mention like distilled spirits in addition to like, just kind of beer? It looks like this currently just is gonna discourage beer in the parks, right?
Beer and wine, yeah.
It's missing alcohol or distilled spirit.
Any alcoholic beer, wine, fermented malt beverage.
Good catch.
We can add that language. We can add
Yeah.
Spirituous liquors. I'm trying to remember the legal terms, and I can't remember was it spiritus or just,
Yeah.
we'll add that in. We can add that in for second reading.
Do I need to make a motion or anything during our vote?
You can. Yeah, to add that in.
But it might be better to wait if we don't know the right language, right?
Oh, sure.
Or,
Yeah, I would want to verify. I'd want to make sure we're putting in the right language.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we can do it during second
Yeah.
language. You can make that motion we'll get you the right language, and then you can make the motion during
Yeah.
second reading. Okay.
What
And the
happened?
term is spiritus liquor.
Spiritus liquor.
Thank
Well, okay, well, there you go. Then you can do it tonight for add spiritus liquor.
Does this have any impact on non-city owned parks, open space, something like community park?
No, the only other spaces that we have that are non-city owned are owned by and managed by South Suburban Parks and Rec,
Mhm.
and they have their own alcohol.
So they have their own ordinances?
Yeah, provisions which are pretty much exactly the same as this.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's part of why we wanted this as well. We'd have, it'd be like, well, because we do have a few parks that are ours and are not managed, and we didn't have those provisions necessarily in place.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now it matches better with
Yes.
what they do. Okay.
And that's it, Mayor.
We used up all
Well,
the
that went
time.
longer than I thought it was going to
It's
go.
just right.
Yeah, it was just right.
Okay. Well, then we'll adjourn this meeting at 6:59 PM. And we'll move into the regular city council meeting, start with a new introduction from our interpreter. Everyone can log on.
All right. Well, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Andrea with the Community Language Cooperative. We're going to be practicing language justice today. We're going to have simultaneous interpretation in English and in Spanish. And once we turn on the interpretation, if you're on Zoom, you're going to see a globe that is going to come up at the bottom of your screen. Please click that globe and select your preferred language. Please remember to speak at a conversational pace and turn on your microphones before you speak. Hola a todos, soy Andrea, estoy aquí con la Community Language Cooperative. Vamos a practicar la justicia del lenguaje el día de hoy y tendremos interpretación simultánea en inglés y en español. Una vez que aprendamos la interpretación, por favor, dale clic al globo que va a aparecer en la parte inferior de tu pantalla para seleccionar tu idioma. Recuerda hablar a un paso conversacional. And host, we can start interpretation now.
Thank you, Andrea. Okay, I'll call to order the regular meeting of the Sheridan City Council for February 24th, 2025. Time is 7 p.m. Can we have roll call, please? Councilmember Camacho, are you going to be able to join us
Yeah.
online?
Are you able to get connected to the meeting software? Councilmember Camacho, are you able to connect to the meeting software?
There we go.
I just clicked him in.
Oh, you clicked him in? Okay.
We can move forward and do roll call or voice votes on him and do a roll call if he's unable to connect.
Okay. All right, so we have all council members present. Can we rise for the invocation followed by the Pledge of Allegiance?
We stay focused on the objectives we have for the world: peace, tranquility, a true brotherhood of man, freedom from hunger, from oppression, from sickness, freedom to choose our own destinies. We reaffirm our commitment to the community, for we all do in support. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? We reaffirm our commitment to high ethics in all we do, and we give thanks for all the blessings, opportunities, and responsibilities that befall us as elected members of this body. We move forward with optimism, renewed energy, and commitment to service to you and our fellow men and women. Please, Lord of the universe, help us so to serve. Amen.
Pledge allegiance
Pledge allegiance
To the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have any changes to the agenda?
No changes to the agenda, Madam Mayor.
Thank you.
And Ms. Adler has informed me that she'd like to speak during the financial reports.
Great, thank you. All right, that's next on our agenda. So can get a motion on the financials. I've got a motion from Councilmember Kelly, second by Councilwoman Stang. Teresa, what do you want to tell us about?
I would love to. So tonight we have in front of you the year-end financials. Now these are not audited, but there never is a lot of changes. But I just kind of wanted to point out that, you know, all of the employees, the hard work they do to get where we are at, from where we were at with our budget, you know, our revenues were $1 million, you know, almost $1 million over. Our expenses were almost 400,000 under. You know, it's kudos to the staff. I just report it to you guys. I'm not doing anything except, you know, telling you just what an amazing job they do and trying to do the best job that they can with the city's money. So I know there's a lot of detail on there. I'm happy to answer any questions, but I just really wanted to say kudos to everyone that they work really hard to do a great job. They make my job really easy. So that's really all I wanted to say, but I am happy to answer any questions.
Thanks, Teresa. It is nice when, you know, we get a good report year after year.
Makes my
Yes.
job easy.
Yes.
Mayor, if I
Yes,
could.
go ahead.
And I want to kind of echo Teresa's comments. This is due to, you know, our staff that really keep a tight eye on the public dollar and take their responsibilities with that very seriously. And this is also, you know, a good reflection. This is one of the things I like to refer to as a good problem. This is the good problem, that when we're conservative about our budgeting approach, and sometimes we make tight decisions at that time, but this is why, so that we can come to you and say, look, we're in better shape than we thought we were going to be. We planned maybe, I'm not going to say for the worst, but we were very conservative on planning, and again, been fortunate to see that the things came in better than we projected they were going to be. So it puts us in a really good problem to have, is that, okay, now we have some additional fund balance. We have these things. We got to make sure that we're, what's that?
We should spend some money.
We do. We need, it gives us some of that flexibility and that ability to take on some additional capital projects, to look at things like that. What are some of the needs that we have out there? I know, and I'll tell you, I know we have some vehicle needs, we have some things along those, and this gives us the flexibility to be able to address those.
I did have one question on here, and that's, it seems like maybe we didn't do as much road work as we thought we were going to last year. Am I off on that, or is that true?
Go ahead, Teresa.
That is true. I think kind of, and I, Jeremiah, I know you're on this, so but I just think that with the transition of Randy to Jeremiah, I think some things didn't get done, which I foresee that maybe next year we'll go over a little bit, but that's fine. I just think there was some transition where Randy, you know, left in August, I think it was. So, you know, that's, I think, the only reason.
Yeah. My only point being that I just want to make sure we keep up with the maintenance on the road. So like whatever didn't get done
Absolutely.
last year, I definitely want to make sure we get around to it.
Absolutely. And some of those would be like some special project stuff that would kind of get kicked down the street a little bit, but it's not going away. It's not gone, and those dollars aren't getting steered away necessarily from those. So a lot of what we see, and when I talk about what I talk about when we say we maybe have some additional flexibility, has some different, a lot of that is when I'm looking at revenues on that. So, right. So our revenues, it's not so much our expenditures. Our staff does a great job on keeping expenditures within their budgets. But a lot of this, when it comes out and we see these fund balances and stuff grow, it comes from the revenues more coming in, because we try and keep up, you know, we try and be responsible on the expenditure, and we're not going to sit on money to sit on money. I don't want that to do that to the taxpayer. Taxpayer pays their money with the anticipation that those funds get used to better their city. So us sitting on them doesn't help them with that. But the revenue side of things, when we're very careful and conservative about the revenue side of things, that's what puts us in the good picture. Yeah.
Great.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to recognize Public Works Director Jeremiah. He's got his hand up.
Great. Thanks. Go ahead, Jeremiah.
Yeah. Hello, everybody. Sorry, I'm remote today. I just that was music to my ears to hear that, and I want council and mayor to know that that is a significant thing on my you know, in my duty, is to make sure that we protect the investment that's already been made through the bond measure, and I am paying very close attention to that. And so, you know, that is a major focus for Public Works, is to continue to maintain roads and not allow them to get to the place that they were prior to the bond measure. I mean, they do age, and that's the thing. So I'm excited to be working on this, and we're looking at a whole list of things on what we can do to help preserve that infrastructure. So thank you for that comment.
Great. Thanks. Appreciate you voicing that. All right. Other people have any questions about the financial reports? Okay, then we'll vote.
Councilmember Camacho,
Yes.
That is approved unanimously. Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to the staff reports. City Clerk.
I'm just hoping that you all can join us to wish Randy well in his retirement this Wednesday at 5 o'clock at Broken Tea. And that is all I have, but happy to answer questions.
Great, thank you. City Attorney, anything?
Just a brief report to say that I noted those issues we need to follow up with council on from the ordinances that we've discussed tonight, and we will, I'll either provide that to the city manager or directly to council, but I'll probably work through the city manager to make sure that if we are permitted to make any of the changes council asked about, that you're advised whether those are possible.
Okay,
That's all. Thank you.
City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. Let's see. So start off with talking about Tri-Cities. A lot going on with Tri-Cities and the efforts specifically around the homeless efforts. We had in the past 2 weeks, so we've had a our homeless policy committee meeting, and I'm gonna see if I can bring it up here. I'm sorry, guys. Let's see if I got it up here or yes. Okay. I just wanted to, wait, is this the right one? Yeah, so we had a Tri-Cities Homelessness Policy Group meeting, and this is what I wanted to highlight that we had shared in staff. We had Ali Engler, who's our co-responder, and we had Commander Ledger present to the group with regards to efforts from our Sheridan PD on homeless outreach. And when we contact folks that are experiencing homeless, what are some of the things that we do? And what are some of the information that we pass out or services that we connect them with in that? So we presented that to the group so they had a kind of an idea of at the police level what's happening with some of those interactions. And they did great. Ali and Commander Ledger did really good job on that. Let's see, what else was I going to talk about on that? I think that was mainly that one. I just wanted you guys to know that the staff is out doing those kind of things. Oh, one unfortunate note, Graceful Cafe in Inglewood is closing. We got the word on that. So while their foundation is still available, so there might be something that could still happen in the area right now that their operation is closing. So that's unfortunate. And then one last thing on that. So the RFP is out for assessment for the sustainable housing assessment. Not sustainable. What am I trying to say, Mayor?
Supportive housing.
Supportive.
Yeah.
I saw it in my head. SHN. Sustainable supportive housing assessment and permanent supportive housing assessment. I'm sorry. We'll be out here very shortly. I thought it was out, but the county. The county has its way of doing things, and they have a
little more
procurement process.
bureaucracy.
It's going through the procurement process. I mean, I can't complain because they're doing it. They're staffing it. They're handling that, and it's a big deal. And we appreciate the county doing that. It's you just have to go through their procurement process, which is a little bit more ponderous than if we were doing it. So, but they do a fantastic job with it, and we appreciate their involvement in that. Anyway, that RFP should be going out very shortly here, and we're still on a time schedule of being able to hopefully get somebody on board to begin that process in the April-May timeframe. So that's good. Okay, let me get back to the report here. What else did we do with Tri-Cities? I won't go over it, but you have a printout here of the update for the Bridge House Ready to Work NAVs and Ready to Work Building / NAV Center, Navigation Center. They're on the final couple of months of work. It's a lot of just finish work, installing appliances, doing that kind of stuff, trim work, things along those lines. There is a tour and I sent this out to council. If you haven't seen it, please check your email. You can respond in our RSVP for a tour of the facility, which will be on March 7th. I wrote the wrong one down here.
It's in
March 7th at
it's in
10
here,
a.m.
10 a.m.
Is it on there, Mayor?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Okay, let me make so check your email if you want to go. If you haven't seen that yet, you can RSVP through your email that I forwarded to you. Okay, talked about that one. Talked about soon that one. Okay, good. I think that catches you up mostly with what's going on with Tri-Cities right now. I've started attending again the Region 9 Opioid Council meetings. If council will recall, our representative is Stephen Ward, right? Is that Ward?
Yes.
You know, council member with Inglewood, and he's the voting representative for Tri-Cities on the Opioid Council. So he represents and votes for us, Inglewood and Littleton. I am our non-voting representative on that Opioid Council, and I'm going to start attending more, even though I don't have a vote on that, because we're starting to discuss new funding priorities with the council as the next round of funding coming in from the opioid settlements is becoming available, or at least we're having the discussions around that. So those are, I believe, monthly meetings, and making sure I'll keep you guys more in the loop about what's going on with the opioid councils and those monies. A lot of money coming into the communities to help address those issues. I attended the CML legislative workshop last week. Very informative. They had a great. This year they had a tour of the Capitol, so we got to go down to the Capitol and go into the some of the lobbying rooms, do all that kind of stuff. It was pretty cool. Talk to some of our legislators. See, I got to go see my old office in the governor's office. That was pretty cool. I hadn't been there in a while. And then had some a further discussion with the whole group on pending legislation and positions for CML coming up on that. There's a lot. The Policy Council is still taking positions on a number of issues, right? We're early days in the legislature. Stuff is still pending out there and waiting. So I'll do now as things are starting to pick up a little bit more there, we'll do some more updates on council on, I just didn't have it in front of me tonight, but we'll do I'll do a little update on some of the very specific legislation that we want to keep an eye on that's out there. Let's see, myself and staff will be, not all of them, but some of them will be at the 2025 ICMA conference. That's the International City County Managers Association conference, and it's being held in Denver this year. This is gets held all over the place, and we're lucky and fortunate it's going to be in Denver this year. So I think it's Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday of this week. And Andrew and our sustainability coordinator, Mel, are presenting at the conference on IGAs and sustainability. I think it's Friday morning, right, Andrew? Yep. So I'm going to go down, be sure I'm going to be there on Friday morning to watch them present. And that's, that's a great feather in their cap presenting to the, which is a group and a conference that draws from not only across the nation, but around the world. It's pretty cool. Let's
Always
see.
count on Andrew and Mel to make us look good.
Yeah, there we go. And let's see, the RFP, our city RFP for city attorney closed last Friday. We got 5 proposals in, which is a good number. I was expecting more like 3 or 4. We got 5. And I'm very pleased with the response at this point. What we're doing now is I'm having staff select staff go through a review of the proposals and rank them. Then we'll get together as a staff early next week. We will winnow that down to 2 or 3 for interviews, and I want to have interviews at the staff level and at the council level. I was talking with the mayor about this before the meeting. This is going to be a little different than when we did the judge. When the judge, I really left it in your guys' lap, right? That's, you're more a strictly council type of a decision. With city attorney, I want significant input from staff, because it's staff that works with the city attorneys on a daily basis. And I think that's very, very important that we have some staff input on that, and that council. Ultimately, it is your decision as council on that, and we will vote on that. I hope you will seriously consider staff input and recommendations on this. So we'll set those up for hopefully interviews with staff in early March, and we'll be looking at hopefully interviews at your first work session in March, and seeing if we can't get a decision towards the end of March, your second meeting in March. I know that's really quick. We're trying to get it done quickly, but I think we'll be able to. We don't have to. If we feel we want to take some more time, we can do it. But I think what you're going to find is that we've got several very good firms that are put in proposals. Again, it's very similar to with the judge, that we got a problem. We've got a bounty to choose from, and it's going to be hard, because I'll tell you right now, I don't know. I don't know. I sit there and go, oh, I know these guys. I've worked with them before. I really like them. Oh, I know these guys. I've worked with them before. I really like them. So we'll see. There's a touch that. And then just on a personal note, I want to brag on my oldest, Jack. He's a graduating senior this year. He got accepted to CU, DU, and Mines. And he's decided to accept the position with Mines. So he's going to be an ore digger, and he's going to go he wants to study physics and engineering, maybe aerospace engineering. He's not sure quite yet. But yeah, he was.
Is he going to play soccer there too, or?
He might play soccer there too. Yeah. So he's got I think a meeting set up with the coach in a couple weeks and anything. So anyway, we're just proud dad brag moment for a minute, and I appreciate that.
Glad to hear it.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing good news.
Yeah. I mean, it was one of those, where you're waiting and waiting. This is our first kid to go, that is at that age to go to college, and you're like waiting and waiting and waiting to hear and hear, and then all of a sudden you kind of hear all at once, and you're like, oh my goodness. So yeah,
great.
It's pretty exciting times right now for us on that. That's all I got, Mayor. Happy to answer any questions.
Do you have questions right now?
Okay.
Move on to the chief.
Two quick things. We participated to the Bike to Work Day that Ari and the team put together. Fantastic job. And we had our new e-bikes out when we did that. So hopefully you'll see the e-bikes are out more as the weather gets warm. It was a cold morning, right? It was pretty cold. I was actually riding one of the e-bikes, and we had fun, but it was cold. So look for the e-bikes in your neighborhoods. That should be coming out now that we're warmer. And our Citizens Academy started last Tuesday. It wasn't as well attended as we had hoped, but there were still a group of people there. I think part of it was, again, what's going on with immigration, and they were worried about that. But it's always so rewarding, because even our first night had one lady that she speaks only Spanish, and she just was telling us after, I was afraid to come. I'm so glad I'm here. I feel so much more about the police department and what you're doing. And my daughter had to talk me into it, but I'm glad I'm here. So it is making a difference, even if it's a small audience. We'll see how the next 2 weeks go, but hopefully there'll be more. But it does make a difference. So thanks for your support with letting us do that. So thank you. Any questions for me?
I'll just echo the city manager's sentiments about the presentation from Commander Ledger and Ally. That was really well received by the group at the Tri-Cities meeting. So.
Great. I'll make sure they receive some recognition. Thank you.
Okay. We'll go on to the minutes. We have the minutes of the regular city council meeting of February 10th, 2025. I have a motion from Councilmember Kelly and a second from Councilmember Moreno. Any discussion on the minutes? Please cast your votes.
Madam Mayor, I'm gonna go through a roll call vote. You can lock them in the system, but just so that everybody can say it out loud, to include Councilmember Camacho. Councilmember Moreno, Stang,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Mayor Butterfly,
Yes.
Whitaker,
Yes.
Councilmember Lopez,
Yes.
and Councilmember Camacho.
Yes.
That passes unanimously.
Thank you. Go on to the consent agenda, approval of disbursements. Authorized disbursements that have been or will be made from February 1st, 2025 to February 15th, 2025 in the amount of $579,589.81 per the reference and attached transfer of funds. I have a motion from Councilwoman Stang and a second from Councilmember Moreno. Any questions or discussions on the consent agenda? All right, let's have a vote then.
Councilmember Stang,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Mayor Butterfly,
Yes.
Councilmember Whitaker,
Yes.
Lopez,
Yes.
Camacho,
Yes.
Moreno. That approves unanimously.
Thank you. All right, we will move down to ordinances on first reading. We have ordinance 2 of 2025, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Sheridan, Colorado, amending Section 10-55, alcoholic beverage tastings of the Sheridan Municipal Code. I have a motion from Councilmember Kelly and a second from Councilmember Whitaker. Do we have any discussion on ordinance 2 at this time? Please cast your votes, or please let's have a vote, I guess I should say.
Councilmember Kelly,
Yes.
Mayor Butterfly,
Yes.
Councilmember Whitaker,
Yes.
Lopez,
Yes.
Camacho,
Yes.
Moreno,
Yes.
Stang.
Yes.
That passes unanimously.
Thank you. Next, we have ordinance 3 of 2025. An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Sheridan, Colorado, amending the definition of household set forth in Section 56-3 of the Sheridan Municipal Code. I have a motion from Councilmember Moreno, and a second from Councilmember Stang. Any questions or discussions on ordinance 3? Let's vote on that.
Mayor Butterfly,
Yes.
Councilmember Whitaker,
Yes.
Lopez,
Yes.
Camacho,
Yes.
Moreno,
Yes.
Stang,
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes.
That passes unanimously.
Thank you. Next, we have ordinance 4 of 2025, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Sheridan, Colorado, enacting Section 50-37 of Article 5 of Chapter 50 of the Sheridan Municipal Code regarding the prohibition of gambling devices. I have a motion from Councilmember Stang and a second from Councilmember Kelly. Any discussion on ordinance 4? Or are you just fighting over the motion and the second over here? Okay, no discussion, then we'll vote, please.
Mayor Butterfly,
Yes.
Councilmember Whitaker,
Yes.
Lopez,
Yes.
Camacho,
Yes.
Moreno,
Yes.
Stang,
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes.
That passes unanimously.
Thanks. Next, we have ordinance 5-2025, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Sheridan, Colorado, amending Chapter 22 of the Sheridan Municipal Code by enacting Article 4 pertaining to the regulation of massage facilities. I have a motion from Councilmember Whitaker and a second by Councilmember Moreno. Any questions or discussions on ordinance 5?
When you add the rest of that information in here, are we okaying this, what we read, or are we gonna have to do this, second reading?
So no, that's a great question. So I would recommend passing it as written on first reading.
Okay.
I've been looking at the law tonight, and it's not clear to me right now whether we could put hours of operation into the ordinance. The law fairly specifically says any ordinance adopted by a local government shall not be more restrictive than what's in state law, but that doesn't mean it may not be possible. So I'll just need to do a little bit of research to see if there is any authority to also add hours of operation either in this ordinance or maybe through the zoning code. So go ahead and pass it as written on first reading if that's council's desire tonight, and we will follow up with again, I think a memo through Devin
Mhm.
advising whether that's a possibility before second reading. And then at that time, we can advise you on how to amend the ordinance
Okay.
if that's possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Great. Any other questions? Please, let's vote on it.
Council members Whitaker,
Yes.
Lopez,
Yes.
Camacho,
Yes.
Moreno,
Yes.
Stang,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Mayor Butterfly.
Yes.
That passes unanimously.
Okay, last we have ordinance 6 of 2025, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Sheridan, Colorado, amending section 46-32 specific nuisances of the Sheridan Municipal Code.
Mayor, before a counselor makes a motion
Mhm.
to approve this ordinance, I did want to say that council can, if it would like to add spirituous liquors to this ordinance tonight on first reading so that it's in the ordinance on second reading. And where I recommend that would go is in section 2, after the word beverage. So after malt beverage, let's say, after fermented malt beverage, to insert or spirituous liquors.
Can I make a motion to add spiritus liquor to 16.5 after malt beverage?
I'll second that motion.
Councilmember Whitaker, can you hit the amend button on your screen?
Sure.
And then I can enter that. And I'll type it up afterwards.
I don't know if it's recognizing my clicking on the amend button.
Did that go through to you, City Clerk?
Yes, I'm just typing in the wording and then you can make the second on that and then we'll vote on the amendment. And then if that passes, we'll vote on the ordinance as amended.
Yeah. Okay, so I have a motion to amend from Councilmember Whitaker and a second on that motion from Councilmember Kelly. So we'll have a vote on whether to amend the ordinance first.
Council members Lopez,
Yes.
Camacho,
Yes.
Moreno,
Yes.
Stang,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Mayor Butterfly,
Yes,
Councilmember Whitaker.
Yes.
That passes unanimously.
thank you.
Now we will vote on the ordinance as amended.
And we will still need a motion to adopt it as amended.
We
I
have,
believe, or was there already a motion? I'm
There
sorry.
was a motion.
yes, there was an
There was.
original motion.
And there should have been. My apologies. Thank you.
So we have the original motion by Councilmember Whitaker and the second by Councilmember Kelly. Councilmember Camacho,
Yes.
Moreno,
Yes.
Stang,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Mayor Butterfly,
Yes,
Councilmember Whitaker,
Yes.
and Lopez.
Yes.
That passes unanimously.
thank you. Okay, we'll move on. We have memo regarding the volunteer firefighters semi-annual report.
All right, good evening, everyone. So twice a year, we are required to present, the volunteer fires required to present to council a semi-annual report. So it's in February and August. And so you will see on page 74 of your packet, we have, where I want you to look at is the third column over that says actual January through December 2024. So if you follow that down, you can see that the city did make their $50,000 contribution. That then gets transferred directly to FPPA. Then if you move on down, this is actually where you look at the pension fund. And as you'll see, I'm going to kind of look at the column that we're talking about, the actual, and then to the column to the left, because this is what we budgeted. So if you'll notice the beginning fund balance, we already started off about $7,000 higher. We started off with $288,047. The contributions, those are always the same because it's the $50,000 from the city. And then every year we apply for the state matching grant, which is the $23,194, and that was awarded. The net benefits came in under, but that's as expected. We always budget a little high. And then going on down, everything else really came in as expected as far as with the interest and then as far as gains and losses. I would like you to notice, I'm sorry, on the ending fund balance, we did end with $307,589. And you'll notice when you look to the left, that's about $1,000 higher than what we had budgeted for. So that's always, as Devin said, it's a good problem to have. So that is your semi-annual report. I am happy to answer any questions.
Don't see any questions here. Thanks, Teresa. Appreciate it. Okay, next tonight we have Mayor's Choice. I don't have too much. I just want to,
Madam Mayor, we
Oh.
gotta do a vote on that one.
oh, sorry. Is this, so I have a motion from Councilmember Kelly and a second by Councilmember Moreno?
Yes.
All right, let's vote.
Councilmember Moreno,
Yes.
Stang,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Mayor Butterfly,
Yes.
Councilmembers Whitaker,
Yes.
Lopez,
Yes.
Camacho.
Yes.
That passes unanimously.
Thank you. All right, I just wanted to wish Councilmember Camacho well. Hope you get to feeling better. And that's
Thank
all
you.
I have for my report. Anybody have anything from council?
I do.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to call attention to Sheridan hiring fair happening at Sheridan High School. All kinds of positions that they're hiring for in education. And I hope that you'll pass that on to anybody that you know that is in education. As good at teachers as we can to come to this.
Yeah.
March 8th at 8:30 a.m.
It's you.
I'm applying. Yeah.
All right, anybody else have anything they want to share tonight? No? Okay. And we have time for public comment. Public comment won't exceed 20 minutes, 2 minutes per speaker. Do we have anyone who wants to speak to council tonight? Don't see anybody. So we will adjourn our regular meeting at 7:36 p.m. and move into our final meeting of the evening, Sheridan Redevelopment Agency.
We need just a moment to get meeting software up.
Yeah, we're getting there.
Moving slow. Oh no, I'm just saying, like in general. Why aren't you moving slow? I need a defrag or something. Got too many emails.
You good to go?
Yep.
Okay, then I'll call to order the meeting of the Sheridan Redevelopment Agency for February 24th, 2025. The time is 7:37 p.m. We have roll call. I probably should sign in. That would help. Okay. All right, we have all members present. First item on our agenda is the approval of minutes of the SRA regular meeting of January 27th, 2025. I have a motion from Board Member Stang and a second from Board Member Kelly. Any discussion on the minutes? Let's vote on the minutes.
Member Marino, Stang,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Chairwoman Butterfly,
Yes.
members Whitaker,
Yes.
Camacho.
Yes.
Oh, and Member Lopez, I'm sorry, I went out of order.
Yes.
My apologies.
Just trying to trip us up.
Yes. Keeping it interesting over here.
All right. That passes unanimously, and we have financial reports. Receive and file financial reports. A motion from Board Member Lopez and a second by Board Member Stang. Any discussion on the financial reports or questions? All right, please vote.
Members Stang,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Chairwoman Butterfly,
Yes.
members Whitaker,
Yes.
Lopez,
Yes.
Camacho,
Yes.
Marino.
Yes.
That passes unanimously.
Okay. Next, we have the approval of disbursements, authorized disbursements for February 2025 in the amount of $169,365.29 that have been or will be made for expenses referenced below. 1, legal expenses, none. 2, other professional services, $9,734.96. 3, city support services, $158,906. 4, other expenses, $724.33. I have a motion from Board Member Whitaker, a second from Board Member Moreno. Any discussion or questions about those disbursements? Let's vote.
Member Kelly,
Yes.
Chairwoman Beider-Fleur,
Yes.
members Whitaker,
Yes.
Lopez,
Yes.
Camacho,
Yes.
Moreno,
Yes.
Singh.
Yes.
That passes unanimously.
Thank you. New business, the Pinnacle Report for December 2024. Bring it
All
home,
right.
Teresa.
I unfortunately have a little bad news. So page 18 of the packet, under the variance analysis, the debt service revenues, we found out there had been some abatements in property tax earlier in the year, but not significant. We don't get the reports for the prior month until like January 10th is for December. So Wendy McFarland with Pinnacle has been working on this. She notified me that there was a huge abatement. So she did a lot of work with working with the assessor's office, with the treasurer's office. It sounds like their hands are a little tied. If the state comes back and says that it needs to happen, they have to abide by it. Unfortunately, all of it was Kimco. So the timing of all of it, it just was really frustrating that we don't find out about this. And so our B bond payments were made. We definitely would not have made the amount of B bond payments that we made, and those do go to Kimco since they hold those. So a little frustration. So what you're going to see in 2025 is, because there is not revenue in 2024, you will see our property tax revenues in 2025 be lower than what we expected, because they'll have to take them out as they come in 2025. So you're going to see that be a little lower in 2025. But what that also means is, when we get to the end of the year, it just is only going to affect the B bond payment. So the good problem that the SRA has is we are in a good situation, and we don't have one source of revenue to pay for our debt service. We have sales tax, we have the 50% of the public improvement fee. So we do have a good problem. We have enough money. Just it was very frustrating, and Wendy did a lot of work with the assessor. I can't tell you how polite she was and kind she was, and getting information. And so it just was a little frustrating on our part, but I just want you to know that for 2025, that's what you're going to see happen, is that revenue is going to be a little lower, and then the B bond payments will be a little bit lower. So that was something that wasn't expected, but I just kind of wanted to walk you through why you'll see that negative number on the financials. So happy to answer any questions about that.
So, I mean, when you get down to it, though, it's really just annoying, right? I mean, it's still just going from one hand at Kimco to the other, right?
Right. And
Okay.
but it's unfortunately, it just, the timing, if we would have known about this in, September, we
Right.
could have avoided it. It was frustrating
Yeah.
for us. And so, but unfortunately they have everything, the B bond payment won't happen again until December. So right now they kind of have all the money, and that won't happen until December. But
Yeah.
anyway, so that was me being a Debbie Downer. I'm sorry, but it was a little frustrating on our part. So yeah, that was that. But otherwise, everything on the financials looked really good besides that. So yeah, happy to answer any questions.
I have a quick question. On page 20, March revenue last year was like very unusual to the rest of the graph, almost as much as December last year's sales. December, I'm thinking March, looks like, yeah, it's March 2024, shows that it's like $37 million in revenue from Riverpoint. Is that a mistake, or?
If you want to keep talking and give me about 15 more seconds, I can tell you for sure. I think it was an audit revenue.
But we had a timing thing too, where we started getting the revenue in earlier when we switched over to the out, what's the company? Yeah, Muni Revs, or was that some other month?
It might have been, yeah, I can pull it up, sorry, sorry, it's gonna take me 2 seconds.
Matters is we beat it. We beat it last month.
I mean, beat it,
Beat it in December.
December of the
Yeah.
same year, which doesn't, it just, I don't think that can be accurate.
Oh,
Okay, give me
open.
2.6 seconds, so I think there was some timing, and then I do see there was one audit, but yes, there was, because of how February and March hit. You were exactly right, Mayor. That was it. The next month we had audit revenue, but so yeah, no, there was, yeah. So yes, it is correct.
But it's just because of some timing with how they.
Yes, because when I look
bringing
back,
those revenues.
yes, so February and last year, we have to have transfers by the 25th. So the way the weekend hit, we had to transfer on the 23rd. And your mayor, you have a wonderful memory. Can I borrow your memory? My goodness, yes. So you're exactly right. Because of how it hit, we didn't have all of our collections in. And so, yes, that's exactly what happened is then
The chart is so dear to my heart. I remember everything.
I know. And yeah. So I knew we had some audit revenue, but that was actually the following month. So yes, that's exactly right. So I will just be quiet. You should ask the mayor and not ask me.
All right. Anything else for Teresa on the report for this month? Or for December, I guess. The report provided this month about December. Nope. Okay. Then I think we're finished, right? Yeah, we'll adjourn. Time is 7:47 p.m. Thank you, everybody.
And thanks.